in every part of the world, God Almighty in heaven, in his infinite mercy and wisdom, have always chosen one race to carry out any of his blessings, or should I say undertaking, at any point in history. What am I trying to say? When God wanted to develop Southeast Asia, he used Japan. When Elohim wanted to industrialize the world, he used Britain. It was called the industrial, first the agricultural revolution and then the industrial revolution. When Elohim wanted to educate the world as to the, should I say, niceties or benefits of social media, should I say, the internet and all the rest of it, the virtual world, so to speak, he brought in the US. When Chukwuemeka Biama wanted to make mobile phones available to everybody, he brought Nokia. I think that's in Finland. Mass production. When Elohim wanted the cost of goods and services to be reduced drastically, that poor people living in Africa can afford to have a flat screen television, he brought China for mass production. Now listen to me very carefully. The time has come. God Almighty wants to liberate not just Biafra, not just those who are in the zoo, but the whole of Africa. And you know what God has done? He has chosen Biafra to do it. Because without Japan, today China wouldn't be great. The first roaring economy from that part of the world in Southeast Asia was Japan. Now South Korea, Taiwan, all the rest of them, everybody had to emulate, to copy. Do you know the reason why? Because when you go begging from Southeast Asia, today you have Malaysia, you have Indonesia, you have Singapore, everybody is doing fantastically well because they had a Japan to look up to. Follow me very carefully. Jealousy, envy, or hatred doesn't solve this very simple conundrum. It's very simple, but I want you to understand it. That is how God works. When God wanted to liberate South Africa, he brought Nelson Mandela, brought Steve Biko, of course. There are other people that will come along. When God wanted to liberate black people, not just in America, but the whole world to an extent, he went for Martin Luther King Jr. And the person who connived or betrayed Martin Luther King Jr. even slapped him in front of his hotel. I think it was in Memphis. It was a black woman. The fact that you can go to the US today and get a job, the fact that they can go to the US today and, should I say, fly even first class in an aircraft, in an aeroplane, is down to the work that Martin Luther King Jr. did, and also Malcolm X and all the rest of them. Of course, I concede to Prophet Elijah Muhammad. They did a very good job as well. Louis Farrakhan, to an extent, did a very good job. So also did, what's his name again? I've forgotten his name. When it comes back to me, I will tell you. They all did fantastically well. There is why you can go to the US and find a very good job. When it comes to Africa, God Almighty in heaven, in his infinite wisdom and mercy, have chosen Biafra. So Biafra can never ever be against anybody. And let me tell you something. Once Biafra becomes free, everybody becomes free. Those harping on about one Nigeria, or the, should I say, the unsustainability of one Nigeria, are those who are benefiting from it. They are your governors. Remember a few weeks ago, I told you that anytime somebody assumes office in Nigeria, if you're telling them about what would benefit the society or our children unborn, they will tell you, not under my watch. Go to what Makinde, the governor of Oyo State, said today. Go and read it. Exactly what I told you a few days ago. That is why the most dangerous person in front of you is a politician in Nigeria. Not the old woman in your village or the tree that is over 2,000 years old. No. The destiny destroyers you have, in fact, in the whole of Africa, are politicians. Because they are evil. They are doing the work of Satan. You may not believe me, but ask yourself this very simple question: which African country is doing very well? Just please explain to me. Is it South Africa? You want to say South Africa? Go there and see what is happening. Or what has been happening since the white people left leadership. Now is the time for us to be free. I want to reiterate under oath, because I am always under oath 24 hours a day. If the oil and gas from Biafra land is your problem, I swear before God Almighty in heaven, on my honor, my life, and that of my family, that I will distribute oil and gas from Biafra land for free to the entire West African sub-region. For free. Do you know why? So that their economies can grow as well. We need people to buy our goods and our services. Why do you think America gives grants to people all over the world? Why do you think the EU gives grants? Even China gives grants to everybody, even Australia. Why? Because poor people cannot buy Range Rover. Do you understand it? They need to help you inadvertently to grow your economy so you can have the spending power to buy the goods and services that they produce. It is called common sense. It is not stupidity. I can assure each and every component ethnic group in Nigeria today, this evening, all those of you who are listening, all those of you who are watching and listening, that Biafra will not abandon anybody. We want all of you to be free. You all can remember very clearly what happened between 67 and 70, because every time we talk about our eternal leader, the great Dame Chukwemeka. Why I am doing this program this evening is not to allow what happened in the past to repeat itself. Ojukwu did not declare Biafra because he wanted to. Ojukwu went to Aburi to negotiate for, what's it called, restructuring. And he succeeded in negotiating for a restructured Nigeria back to regions. Listen very carefully. On the ride from their hotel to the airport, I think it was Ankara, who was the then military junta ruling Ghana. Ojukwu and Gowon were best of friends. Ojukwu said, when we go back to Lagos, I will be the person to nominate Yakubu Gowon as the head of state. I hope all of you are following what I'm saying. Ojukwu never declared Biafra. Britain scuttled it, because Britain did not want any of you to become developed. They didn't want you to control your own economy. They never wanted you to have a life of your own. They wanted to, this big daddy mentality, is us who made you, we created you, you are what you are today because of us. You are nobody. We made you. They love it. So every time we'll be crying, hey, Africa needs aid. Africa needs help. Give them grant. There is vaccine. Why don't you help them? There is polio. There is malaria. Let's help them. They look at us as imbeciles who cannot fend for themselves. They love it. You know that feeling you have, that rancadede feeling when beggars are coming to your house and begging you, you'll be feeling very proud and very big. That's the mentality they have. They knew that Ojukwu would have destroyed that. That was why they hated him. Ojukwu only declared Biafra because Gowon reneged on restructuring. Gowon said, no, we are not going to restructure. And Ojukwu said, this was not what we agreed in Aburi. Since you are now saying you are not going to restructure and Igbo people were being slaughtered in the north, there was never any glorious decade in the history of the zoo. Never. Ojukwu said, I will now create a safe haven for persecuted people in the northeasterners to come back home. And that time, everybody was in this agreement together. Efik, Ibibio, everybody was represented in Ojukwu's cabinet. The man that suggested that the name Biafra should be used was an Ijo man. An Ijo man. Ijo is on Chief Frank Opigo. An Ijo man. So when people talk about Biafra, Ojukwu's Biafra, they will never tell you he's Ijo Biafra. They will never tell you he was an Ijo man. Ijo that said to Ojukwu, our name, our original name is Biafra. And Ojukwu adopted it. Then the propaganda started flying. Sadly, from our Yoruba brethren. Then, very sadly, the lies began. The same lies that they were peddling that led them to label IPOB as a terrorist organization. But people occupying Yoruba forests, people raping and killing in Izombe, people raping and killing at Ozo One, people brazenly attempting to take over the whole of Benue State, they are not terrorists. I want people to, at least those that still have some measure of conscience, to understand what I'm saying. People who are raping and killing you, they are not terrorists. They are not proscribed Miyetiala, no. They are normal. You negotiate with them. You talk to them. You parley with them. But IPOB that is championing the freedom of everybody in Nigeria, I said everybody. Sometimes people misunderstand what we are doing. Biafra is a vehicle with which we are going to liberate everybody, including ethnic minorities in Sokoto, in Katsina, in Bauchi. Only Biafra can save you. Why am I saying this? And I want you to listen very carefully, please, and note what I'm saying down. Fortunately, the people of the South are gifted with a sense of responsibility, and if things doesn't work out, rebellion. If we stay in one Nigeria, for instance, let's say we collapse IPOB and the Oduduwa movement were to stop, do you think that any minority in the Fulani conquered North will be able to rise up to challenge them? If the answer is no, then other people must do it. Those who are able should do it. That is why IPOB, this Biafra movement, needs the support of everybody. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter if you're from Krenenborn. It doesn't. Once you are suffering within Nigeria, you need IPOB and you need Biafra. More than Biafra needs you. Because if we stop, let's say we collapse IPOB tonight and stop our agitation, how are you going to get electricity in your lifetime? How are you ever going to get good roads? How will you ever hold your corrupt and inept politicians responsible? And more importantly, how are you going to stop Fulanis from taking over your ancestral lands? How? Just tell me. A few days ago, I said something very, very poignant. I said, if you want to remain in one Nigeria, I'm not begrudging you, but look at Hausa people. That is going to be your fate. You are going to be a people devoid of honor and integrity. You will only exist as a people, even if at all they will allow you to exist. Now you understand it. That is why we are doing what we are doing. We must cut out all the distortions, all the falsehoods, all the outright lies against what IPOB stands for. Anybody against IPOB is working for the politician.